in 2021 from 2010, we have more urban areas than rural areas now in the Western region. So naturally, we need to take advantage of that demographics and start working from there. So the region is becoming more urbanized. That means that instead of staying in small hamlets, we are virtually gathering together in specific locations more than we used to be. So we need to position the region to take advantage of the benefits of urbanization and tackle the issues that come with urbanization to ensure sustainable development of the region. So if you look at the district share of the population, you see that STMA is about 11.9%. So when you take the population of 2,151,000, almost 12% of that population live in Sekeni Takrady area. And then Prisia Winnie Valley is second, Takwan Swayem third, and Impoa Wasa with 52,473 being the least populated district in the Western region. So if you even look at the data, you see that the Sekeni Takrady, greater Sekeni Takrady area is very huge. I mean, you take Ahanta West, add it to Ekma, add it to STMA, add Shama, and if you even add Impoho to it, because I'm adding Impoho because Impoho is just 10 minutes from Apowen. So if you add, realize that virtually the big chunk of the population we have in Western region, more than a third, is just within these 5 districts. Let's move to, we have 14 districts, 17 constituencies, and 17 paramount stools. I believe that I will skip these ones, the governance side, and then look at the district assembly performance assessment tool. I realized that from 2016, we did a little bit well, 76.9%. And then we didn't do well in 2017. 2018 started growing again. And then when we did the D part 4, at least half of our people passed. And then 2020, 100%, and 2021, 100%. Now, what this means is that we are getting additional funding into our districts. In 2021 in particular, we had to even change some officers of some of the districts so they can perform better. I mean, the whole of Amenfi Central, we changed virtually all the staff. And then in Zima East, we also changed all the staff because when we checked, we did the prosperity index, we realized that we were not doing well. And we felt that our civil servants there were not doing well, so we needed to change them. And when we brought in the new caliber of people, virtually all of them have now passed in 2 years in a row. So I believe that the decision we took was very important. Our vision as a region is that we want to be a model region of Ghana, where all persons can effectively participate and engage in the productive assets of the region for wealth creation. And our vision is hinged on 3 things. Entrepreneurial governance. I mean, when we use the word entrepreneurial governance, an entrepreneur is somebody that brings all the best and put them together in a team to work with. So for us, we believe that the chieftaincy institution is key, the NGOs are key, the media is key. So we bring all this together. And that's one of the reasons why we are participating fully in this program. Because we believe that if an NGO is doing something good and to benefit the region, we need to bring them on board or we have to get involved so that the benefit of it comes to us as well. So that's why we are here. The second one is Enterprise Western Region. I think that we've said this over and over again. If you have the natural resources or the natural assets and we don't put in enterprise, both in terms of as an activity and also as a business, and also encourage the people in Western region to own those productive assets that can work on these natural resources, then the region will not grow. So we believe that supporting enterprise in all its forms is key for the region to grow. The third one is the SDGs and the youth involvement. We believe that we cannot develop this country leaving the youth behind. They have the energy, they should have new ideas, they should have the energy and the strength to support the region to grow. So whatever we are trying to do on the international level that has local effect, we need to bring the youth on board. That's why we have the SDGs plus the youth. And these are some of the things that we've tried to do in support of our own endeavor in the Western region. The Ghana Mining Week, or what we call the Gold Expo, has been key. In fact, if you take the Bank of Ghana's own gold purchase program, this Gold Expo has been a major contributor in the formulation of the ideas of the Ghana gold purchase program, with its offshoot being the gold for oil that has stabilized our country. It started from the Western region. And the NANOM has always been part of this program right from day one that we started this program. We also know our support, the Takoradi Markets Redevelopment. And we also initiated the Power Grant Award for Business Excellence. That has also been ongoing. Next year, we expect it to go global. The idea is to use this to support the private sector in the Western region, for them to work harder to support us. I mean, if you take Act 936, Local Government Act, you realize that one of the key components of the mandate of the assemblies is the development of local economies. And we know that we can't do without the local businesses. So this awards in particular usually pick nomination from the assemblies directly. So they do their own selection and then bring them for the regional awards. And then we also pick a few, about 10, of other businesses that are in the district, but they have national or regional prominence, and are also added to support it. So that people know that doing business in the Western region will support you, for you to support us. Because like Professor Mensah said this morning, when he started using the word competition, I didn't know where he was getting at. Then he said jobs. It means that if you don't give people the jobs, or the jobs are not available in our region, the youth will leave. And when the youth leave, our region will become slow. So I believe that we need to encourage more businesses to create more opportunities for the young people to have places to also work. The 5 million coconut project is still on. We still have more coconut. So those who want to plant coconut and make or get the benefit out of coconut is still on track. We also have the sanitation improvement program called the e-tankers. What the e-tankers does is that we are only digitizing what used to be the tank council men that used to visit us when we were children, to make sure that there's good sanitation and the like. But in this case, instead of just the environmental officers going around to accost people, we've digitized it. Because what we've realized is that there are times that people even go to the homes, instead of booking them to the court or reprimanding them, they take the money into their pocket, and the same thing is repeated. What this one does is that there are 2 levels to it. We expect that people at the local level be able to use the application to catch up with people who are misbehaving in the sanitation area. Or it comes to the sub-metro level, where immediately gets to the sub-metro level, then you know that you are going to court. And this one too, when you are caught, it's a spot fine. It's a spot fine. So all the assemblies, we've been able to key in all their spot fines. And when you are caught, you pay on the spot. If you don't pay on the spot, it moves to the sub-metros and you are taken to court. We are also looking at the Secondary Takoradi Financial Services Hub. And I believe that when I get there, I will be explaining it better. And then we also have the Okyere fee. The Okyere fee basically has to do with our spatial planning and then built environment. We keep talking about the statistics or our development. One day, I had one senator from Nigeria who came to visit, and I was explaining to him some of the difficulties that we're having in some of our villages and our districts. And the first thing that came from his mind was that, oh, honorable, you know, the color of poverty is the same. When you are flying and you see rubbish, you see where they are. When you are flying and places are disorganized, you see them. And it's the same everywhere. in Africa. So I believe that the Fienife is one area we want to actually do to get the involvement of chiefs in their communities so that the development is organic and is protected. Most of the time, we leave these things to the assemblies, the planning officers, to the special development officers who don't even live in the community. So if kiosk estates are developing in communities, you don't see it. By the time you get there, you have 20 kiosks and it becomes a political issue and nobody is able to touch it. And immediately we allow that to happen, it virtually discolor our communities, and then the planning becomes very improper. So I'll move on to I think that this is just the explanations here. And then our tourism development program. The other one is the tankers that I've spoken about them. Come back. Come back. Establishment of the Western Regional Investment Center. Okay. So we also have the Western Regional Investment Center. Like we've been talking about businesses, this is one area that we use in crystallizing investment into our region. Just last year, we were able to get an order from Turkey for GKV to produce activated charcoal for export to Turkey. And we were able to do two. One was in Penton, and the other one was in Jomoro district. They produced the activated charcoal using coconut husk, and then they were exported to Turkey. Move on. Okay, move on. Okay, move on. I think I discussed this one. No, come back. Just come a little back. So this is the Sekeni Takwari Financial Services Center. One of the key issues we've realized in our region is the inability to crystallize capital for investment. It seems that over the period, what we've been doing is that people come from outside to invest and take the profit away. So we have the resources, we call it natural resources, but we don't have capital to develop them. So what we want to do with the Sekeni Takwari Financial Services Center, which is at the capital of the region and having all access to the air, rail, and road, we should be able to set up funds in the capital for investment in other parts of our region. So basically, that's what it's supposed to do. And we'll start with the fintech part and then gradually graduate it into a full financial services hub. So we'll move on to the next issue. I think that from the topics that was discussed, the issue of the environment and Galamsey also came up. At the WRCC meeting, which is the main council of the region, we agreed and passed a resolution on the Western Regional Anti-Galamsey policy. The first one is that rivers and forests are no-go areas for mining. And then no mining around critical national installation and infrastructure. That means maybe dams, electricity poles, telecommunication poles. These are critical national infrastructure. We don't expect anybody to mine against them. So that the national code was only about rivers and forests. But we believe that we needed to add critical national infrastructure so that they are also not damaged. The arrest and prosecution of persons involved in illegal mining and the destruction of machinery involved in Galamsey. You know, when somebody told all of you that my 17 million had gotten missing. You remember that story? And I had collapsed, I was in the hospital. It was because of Galamsey fight. I'd gone to the dumping forest in Takwa to destroy 6 excavators. And it was the owner of those machines that did the recording with another girl and said, I've come to burn his excavator. And that's why he started doing the propaganda. So it shows that this fight is a major fight. And if we are all bent on fighting it, we are going to have challenges. I mean, you've realized that recently when Nana Jura also started fighting one of them that was creating problems in this area. Every day, they were always putting out false information about him. So the fight is a very big fight. And if we have taken a decision that is part of our agenda in looking at how we can fight it, we should know that it comes with consequences and we should brace ourselves for it. But we can win. I strongly believe that we can win. I believe and we'll win. And we'll win. I think that the last time we had the Gold Expo, about 2 years ago, our biggest challenge was the disconnect between the district assemblies, the regional administration, and then our security forces. Sometimes when you give an instruction to the security forces to move in to arrest Galamsey people, sometimes it takes you 30 days to get approval from Accra before they can move. But the last cabinet meeting that went, we've been able to get president to give us the go-ahead. So these days we are getting 24-hour approval. In fact, they don't need to get into Accra before they can move. Anytime you tell them and they mobilize, they are able to move. And I believe that is why we've had some quiet on the front about Galamsey, and we have to keep the momentum going. The second aspect also had to do with the issuance of permit for mining. Usually, you have to fill online. But when you fill your forms online, sometimes it takes a whole year to get the permit. And that is also a problem. So there are places that can be mined. But because we are not permitting them, they go do and do anything. And my argument is that if you give them the permit early, and then put in a supervisory person or supervisor or an engineer, you should be able to check them to do the right thing right from the beginning. Because a lot of our rivers that have been polluted, they have been polluted because a lot of the miners are in a hurry to run away. And if they are in a hurry to run away, instead of doing the standard proper mining practice of developing their own tailing dams or wells, they don't. So they pump the water from the river to the mine and back into the river. And when it's going back into the river, it goes with the mud. And if you keep going with the mud, what you see is that all the rivers become silted. So when it rains with a small volume of water, the communities which are around the banks get flooded immediately. And we've been seeing this in Jura. We've seen some in Mensah. And basically, those rivers have been silted. But if they have gotten permits early for those doing especially alluvial mining, we should be able to contain this situation. Because all the big mines in Ghana, they do alluvial mining. But because they do the tailing dams, they're able to hold the water and then treat the water for the water to get back into the rivers, and you don't see any problem. So if you go to a place like Adamus, they have a huge tailing dam, like the whole of Bujia Beach. And there's a river inside the mine, and the river is always neat. It's clean. It's like this bottle because it's treated properly. But because a lot of our miners don't get the license early, it's become a problem. So our new paper we've sent to the Vice President office is to get the Minerals Commission to allow the district mining committees to be the first initial do the first initial approvals before any mining license will be granted in Ghana. And then when we went to Kumasi, President also agreed that the chiefs in those areas should also sign that document so that nobody will get a license in the community and the chief will say he's not aware. So that one too, President has agreed. And Vice President will be calling for a meeting as quickly as possible for all stakeholders to meet and agree on the final draft of the process, so that all mining in Ghana, and especially, I've told them that they should use Western Region as a pilot. We should get it right. If you're able to get it right, I believe that the rest can learn the best practices from us. And then I believe the consequences or the bad consequences of mining will go down or will be wiped away. Because as we speak, gold and mining has been a key enabler in our new recovery process after the COVID. You know, gold for oil actually stabilized our oil prices from 23 Ghana cedis per liter to now 11 Ghana cedis. The same thing also has to do with our forex. I mean, with the gold reserve that we are building, currently in the last 1 year, we've been able to build almost equal to what we built from independence to date. So we've done like 7.7 tons, close to the 8 that we've had after independence, and this has stabilized our currency. What it means is that since we have the gold sitting there physically, even when we don't have dollar, we can ask for a swap with somebody who has dollars. And anytime our dollars are ready, we take our gold bars back. And usually these are done on computer. So they'll be there. But you just say, oh, I need dollars. So because I have so much gold, they give me some small dollars. Let me do my payment. When I get my proper dollars, I give you your own thing back. So there's no much pressure like it used to be on our city. And that's why our city is also stabilizing. And with the gold for oil, what it means is that we don't need to get physical dollars before we can buy oil. Just the gold we give to the people, we get our oil in. That's why our prices are stabilizing. So gold has been very good, and I believe that we can use the Western region case to bring down the problems of water pollution and then the bad practices in mining. Okay, so we can look at some of the job opportunities that mining has provided in the Western region. Akon mining started with 3,500 people. Now we are doing 5,000. In fact, Akon mine is just one shaft in Takwa. The number of people they have employed, 5,000, is more than 500%. Yes, more than 500% from what Anglo Gold Ashanti has employed in Takwa. This is just one shaft. It's not even more than 30 acres. Anglo Gold Ashanti controls 203 square kilometers, but they have employed directly only 650 people. Yes, but community mining, we started with 3,005 when I went to inaugurate it. Now we are talking about 5,000 people. If you come to Apimenim 800, Abosu Kokoado mining 1,002, Abosu Youth in mining 1,500, Abosu Kashima mining enterprise 2,000, and Akango community mining 1,000. Akango is because Adamus at that time had not fully agreed with the whole project, but now they have agreed, and I think that we've sent the full document to Minerals Commission for them to hive it off and make it what do you call it, tributary system. So Adamus will be supervising the project for more miners to get into the field to work, and we believe that this is one way of making sure that we create employment in our region or districts to enable more young men and women to also get something to do. So we can move to overview on education. So the first part was on mining. The second one is education. Basic education in the region. The schools, number of schools we have is 3,075. And when you add SHS and TVET, we have 40. So that comes to 3,115. 3,115. And then tertiary institutions, the universities, we have 2. And then the nursing training, we have 5. And then colleges of education, we have 1. I believe that the last time we met, we agreed that we had to look for a new place to have another teacher training college. We've gotten offers from Nanano of land, so we can situate them there. Naturally, it will not be in the Sekindita area. It has to be in the Nzima, Aminfi area. No. We have one. Ahanta, we have one. Let's get one to another part. Yes. We also have 3 satellite campuses in Takrady. We have GTUC, we have KNUST, and then we have GIMPA. These are satellite campuses of other national universities in our region. So when we talk about tertiary institutions, technically we have 5. even though the main ones with their main campus in the Western region are two. Education enrollment. And this is one game-changing thing that you need to look at. From 2017, before the introduction of free SHS, it started at 13,000. Now we are doing 65,000 in our schools. Yes, this is a game changer. Free SHS. This is what has happened to us. This is the biggest good news that has happened to our region. Over 490% increase in enrollment. And we hope that all these young people who are getting this opportunity will change the narrative in our region and going forward. That is why I believe that we have to start putting the issue of entrepreneurship in their mind now, the issue of businesses in their mind now, so they don't grow to become normal government workers. We want them to grow to become big businessmen, so they can control the productive assets in our region. If we don't train them now to agree to be doing these things, and they become the normal doctors and the normal teachers and the normal nurses, then they will come up and grow to be complaining like we are doing now. So we need to move away from that. We have to get more of our children also doing business to create wealth and prosperity for themselves, for their families, their districts, and then the region. Then we can be in charge of our own affairs. So this is one game-changing area we have to be looking at. Infrastructure. Completed ones. SHS, and these are Get Fund projects. We have completed 22, and then ongoing we have 25. The ongoing ones, we are lucky now. The last Get Fund budget that was passed, we have agreed in principle that we'll finish ongoing project first before we start new ones. So we started some projects about last 2-3 years. Now they are going to get some funding for us to complete them. And one of our biggest challenge when it comes to educational infrastructure, especially the SHS, is our boarding facilities. Our boarding facilities is creating a lot of problems for a lot of our children. So that's one area we'll be concentrating to complete as many ongoing boarding facilities as possible. When it comes to basic level basic level schools like KGs, 3 units, 6 unit classroom block, and some of them roofing, we have 21 completed and 15 ongoing. And then our district too, the DCs are also building schools. We have 48 completed and 68 uncompleted. Now, you see the figures I gave you for both the basic schools. You realize that if there's so much money at our district, they'll build more schools for us. If you look at the one I said before, so it's 21, 25 for Get Fund, and then 21 and 15, the primary school level and the KG. So we have 21 and 15. But when it got to where the district assemblies themselves are putting up the schools, you see that we have 48, 68. So if we're able to get more money for our districts, naturally they will build more schools for our children. I mean, that's where I want us to conclude on. So anytime we are making advocacy, it will also be good to talk on behalf of our districts so that they can get more to do. Please, let's move on. These are just some of the pictures of some of the projects we've been doing. Now, health. Health facilities in the region by ownership. Hospitals. Okay, let me go to hospitals, for instance. The government has 13. Mission Hospital 10. Kwesai government 6. Private 13. So the total for the region is 42 hospitals, something that we can call full hospitals, 42. When it comes to polyclinic, we have 4. When it comes to health centers, we have 65, and then clinic 102. CHIP compounds in the whole of Western region is 458. 458. And maternity homes, which are private, is 10. Now let's look at the population for doctors. Doctor to population ratio, the standard is 1:1,320. And Western region, our target is to do 1,000. 1:7,500. 2022, we couldn't get to our target. It's 1,000. 1:7,690. And then in 2023, we've been able to reduce it a little bit to 1:7,292. So I think charity begins at home. Those of you whose children went to medical school, tell them to come back home. That's where we have to start from. Recently, there's been a little bit change with the application for placement of doctors in the region at the national level. Initially, they used to put them in one basket, and people could choose anywhere. So what people were doing was that they would choose Western region, and then when they are supposed to actually come start work in the Western region, they'll do their own arrangement in Accra and keep themselves in Accra. And you see that they'll be fighting with the medical director in the region. With time, they don't come. But these days, people now apply directly to the region, and then we will recruit them. So I think that is one positive sign that if you get our children to come to the Western region, they will be lucky to be actually recruited directly into the region instead of those days that they need to go into the national basket and they were not coming into the region. Nurses to population ratio, I think our target is 1:450. Currently, we are doing 1:358. So at least we are beating the target. Midwives is 1:700. We are currently doing 1:355. Doctor to population geographical equity index. Technically, it's supposed to be 1. But now, we are doing 1:0.014. It means that so the distances are not that quite good because we are supposed to do 1. If you look at 2023, we did better from 0.012. So if we are lucky, we should be able to, if we are able to build more places where doctors can be stationed, we should be able to get closer to our own people. I think the same thing also refers to the nurses. And I think that the nurses, the target is 0.55. 2022, we did better than 2023. On the issue of midwives, that is also bad, very bad. I mean, that is far off even from the nurses. Teenage pregnancies. Those who are not doing very well. Wasa Memphis Central. In Zima East. But I believe that you are checking the trend. In your mind, you see that where we have poverty, we have more of such problems. You know, I told you, Memphis Central is the poorest in our region. In Zima East is one of the poorest. Ahanta West, even though it's next to Sekeni Takrade, is number 9 on the poverty index. So you see that poverty is a major problem. I wonder how Wasa Memphis East has come this far because there's a lot of money there. But you know, the economy there is not held by the people of Western region. The economy there is held by the foreigners. You are aware of that? A lot of the Chinese and stuff, they own it. And foreigners. So that is why we have. So our households don't own the prosperity. And that is why we have to take the issue of getting a lot of our young ones into business, into enterprise, into entrepreneurship. Key to making sure that, and it's the same thing with Wasam Memphis Central. All the rubber plantation don't belong to them. It's a fact. The same thing, Ahanta West. The rubber plantations in Ahanta West, Greg talk about it every day, every day. Doesn't belong to them. And that's a fact. And I've had a lot of series of discussions with Honorable Kojokum on it. And I believe that a lot of you chiefs too, once in a while, one would do these discussions, I bring them up. So this is what is actually showing the results we are getting here. And we need to find a solution to it. Look at Jomro. Look at Jomro. Look at Jomro. The coconut business, everybody knows it belongs to the Nzimes. And even before crude oil came, the coconut oil was there. If you come to my grandfather's house at Timaba, all the houses, both left, right, and opposite, they are all 4-story or 3-story buildings, and they belong to the Nzimes because they had seen coconut money, and they still keep the money within the district. So, at least you can see it. You can see it. So, like the good Bible say, money solves all problems, isn't it? That one I didn't say it. So we have to find a way that Western region can also own the money, so we can solve our problem. Causes of death. Malaria is still number 1. 22.7. Malaria is still number 1. Malaria is still number 1. And I believe that malaria, at our level, at community leaders, we should be able to help our communities to eradicate them. Malaria is still number 1. Okay, access to healthcare. I think that we are looking at the distance people get before they can get to. And when we say 5 kilometers, 5 kilometers is like Busia Junction to this place, and so I can have an idea. And where we have Western region, you can see that Jomoro is 3.1, Elembele is 8, and Isma 8 is 9.7. So if there should be any new interventions in the area of healthcare facilities, we really have to be looking at Elembele and Isma East. So this is, as you can see the figures, but this is where we'll be concentrating our effort. I know, Nana, I know. Even when we get to police station, cry to be crazy for Kejura. Okay, summary of investment in health infrastructure. So, these are some of the new health infrastructure that we've done in the region. Rehabilitation and remodeling of Ifye Kwanta Hospital into a teaching hospital, and then the construction of the new regional hospital. Is going to be 400-bed hospital. Construction of polyclinic facility. I made mention of this earlier. Bogoso is completed. It's 44 beds. Elibo is 60 beds. And Elibo, because it's close to the border, it also has an infectious disease center like we have at CDH. So Elibo has that facility in addition to the 60-bed ward. In Takwa in Swayem is also completed. Wasadunkwao is also completed. And district Manson Amemfi also completed. Investment in health infrastructure. The new Takrade Polyclinic is also 85% completed. In fact, we are trying to get it completed by the end of the year so it can be used. Impoho Health Center upgrade also completed. It's completed. They are just fixing a few of the equipment, but everything has come. In fact, the last time I met the MP, he wanted us to go and commission. And I said that very soon, President might come around for us to commission them. But in the meantime, we've opened them for test run. So people can visit all right. Because we didn't want to wait till the kingdom come. So we've opened all of them for test runs. So we have the doctors and the physician assistants also in some of them that they are going to work. Ghana Priority Health Infrastructure Project, and that is in Poho. You know that one is Agenda 111. Yes, that one 45% complete. The Buankra Ahanta one, they've roofed. Bukro, sorry, Ahanta was Bukro. They've roofed it. They are doing the block work inside, and they are 60% complete. And then the construction equipment of the 90-bed Shama Hospital. When we got the contractor to start, we've realized that there was a major problem with the insurance. So we are moving it from the original loan that they brought to Agenda 111. So that's what we are doing now. That one and the La Polyclinic, they were one project. So the two of them are all being brought under Agenda 111 so that the contractor can work on it. And the process has not delayed. I think they went to PPA to get the clearance. And when they finished, the last time I went to Cabinet about 2 months ago, the issue had to do with the structure, the design, whether we change the design for the normal Agenda 111 design or we should keep to the design that the president came to cut the sword. For me, I love the design that president came to cut the sword. The Minister for Health also likes that design. But you know, Agenda 111 is under the Chief of Staff. So we are getting her to agree to that design. So I think that when they finish with the process and the money is transferred, we'll conclude that part, and then Shama will get to your hospital. So that one has been concluded. We are moving the financing from the debt financing that they brought earlier to Agenda 111, that we have the money to do the work. So these are some of the pictures. These are some of the. Go ahead. Yeah, this one is the nurses and doctors' quarters at Takrady Hospital. It's yet to be commissioned. Let's go on. Okay, the almighty elephant in the room, the rose. In fact, today when everybody spoke, I believe that the biggest challenge we have in Western region now is this one, isn't it? Okay. So I want you to look at as for the condition, mix and fair, I don't think that's the most important thing now. Let's go to the next page. Yes. That's not the most. The most important thing is the construction of the roads. That's why I said we should move to the next page. You look at the total length of roads awarded. It's 1,959. Almost 2,000 kilometers. But look at how much has been done. 252. Which is about 7%. And that is where the problem is. So the problem is not that the roads have not been awarded. In fact, every road we've talked about today, or people have imagined to talk about, they have been awarded. If we talk about the New Town Road, for instance, they started doing the road. When it got somewhere, the money got finished. So we couldn't get to New Town. So it's not that New Town Road have not been awarded. Shama people know that Shama Junction to Shama, it has been awarded. Upper Wine to Mpoho, it has been awarded. All those, this one, let me make a good announcement. All those who have cocoa rows, originally, what used to happen was that it was proceeds from the syndicated loans that were used in running cocoa rows. And because syndicated loans are just 1 year loan, it means that when you collect, you buy cocoa, you pay it into the bank's account, and then they take their part. Anytime you use syndicated loans to do rows, which don't run for 1 year, because when you are building roads, some of them take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It means that the cost of borrowing to do the cocoa rows was higher. So when COVID came and distorted the finances of Cocoa Board, it's also distorted the financing for the roads. Because during COVID, for the 2 years that we had COVID, all the cocoa was sitting at Kejebir. Because all the airport had shut down and nobody was buying cocoa. The only people who were buying cocoa in Ghana were Cargill and then Wamco, because Wamco have over 40% of the homeland cocoa market in Europe. So they were the only people who could buy cocoa. The rest were sitting in the shops. So they couldn't run. So now government is getting a new loan, about 400 million, with about 10 years period. So we can use that directly for cocoa rows. So very soon, all the cocoa rows contractors will come back. And I believe that that will brighten a lot of Memphis, Wasa Memphis. Because we have serious major roads that are also ongoing in that area, and even some part of Western North. And then our Pongwe one will be done. And where Professor Mensah has been turning his car into, what do you call it, Dabuase to Uni Valley. That road too would also be done. These are major cocoa roads that we are doing. So for cocoa roads, we should be fine. But the most important thing about our roads is that virtually all the roads we are talking about have already been awarded on contract. It's the money. And my argument has always been that the contractors should tell us if they can't do the roads. And they are not ready to say they won't do the road. They say they will do it. And that is where we have a challenge in the Western region. I think I'll go to the next slide. What we have here are a few of the roads that are ongoing in the Western region. There are a lot of them. Okay, so you can. Please, you can make that part copy for participants so they can go through a lot of the roles that we are doing. This is the interchange. The interchange, you expect them to come back this year and finish the work. It's only left with a few. The percentage that the road there is a mistake. It's supposed to be 83%. Yes. What is left is just a small construction, concrete works that needs to be done. But every material for this project is in Ghana. It's like the market circle. We have 90% of everything in Ghana. It's left with just a small construction of the work. Aguna Nkwanta to Takwa is 43% completed. The same contractor have already been given a letter to raise the money to do the Takrady to Aguna Nkwanta part of it. But we also have a plan B. If this one doesn't go through, we've also shown him some letter with another contractor who is ready to raise money locally from Ghana Commercial Bank to do the same road for us. So we have our plan B. Minister for Finance has traveled, immediately comes back. You take a decision on the plan B. You know, because of the downgrades which happened during the COVID, which we also believe that it was intentional to disgrace Ghana. People raising money on the international market for some of the Ghanaian projects are finding some difficulty. Yes, are finding some difficulty. But we have a plan B with Ghana Commercial Bank, and we believe that if Minister returns, we should be able to finalize that so that then we are clear that the last headache I have, technically, I mean, that's the only headache I believe I have in the region, is to conclude the contract for Takrady to Aguna Nkwanta. On railway, I think that now we've gotten all the way to Manso. The contractor opened another front at Winnie Valley. I've asked him to get back from Winnie Valley and come back to Insuta so that we can complete the Insuta line. If you're able to complete the Insuta line, we are sure they can run like 3 shifts into Insuta for manganese. And then our roads too, the pressure on it would also come down a little bit. And then railway will also be making a lot of money. Currently, we are doing the 78 kilometer to make it 100. And when we finish, at least we would have gotten about 115 kilometers of railway from Takrady Harbour all the way to Winnie Valley. That project is supposed to complete in 2025, but we want to complete the session that gets into Suta this year so that we can use that one to do business, collect money, and to pay for the rest of the construction. Port infrastructure. There's a new oil jetty at the Takoradi port. There's a new container terminal, which is called Atlantic Port Service. Now, this Atlantic Port Service is separate from GAPOA, and it's going to run like MPS in Tema. They've gotten an operator now, and very soon, October 1st, they plan to start work. And you know that ever since MPS came to Tema Port, the first year they made $54 million as profit. The second year, they made $82 million as profit. And it keeps going up. So very soon, we'll be creating a lot of jobs in Takoradi. At least minimum about 1,000 more jobs. And they want to go all the way to 3,000 at the Takoradi port. So that one is completed. The Turkish, who are the operators, are bringing their equipment. And then with their Ghanaian partners, we should be able to move in that one forward. There's also the construction of the forward operating base as Ezilebo in Jomoro. And that's also creating a new community to host 2,000 people. A new community to host 2,000 people. That is also under construction. It's more than 50% completed. The fishing harbors in Diskov and Axim is completed. And like I always say, we cannot continue to do artisanal fishing after this huge investment. It calls for the industrialization of the fishing industry, at least in these two places, so that we can create wealth and prosperity in Axim and Diskov. And I believe that this is one area, I believe that chiefs, you should work with your district assemblies to come up with some model to industrialize these ports. And these ports, even when they didn't exist in Axim, for instance, Axim was a big commercial town because of fishing. So we can bring it back. It's not anything new that has never happened in Axim or Diskov before. 90% of Ghana's tuna comes from Diskov. We can process tuna in Diskov in commercial quantities that create jobs. We shouldn't be looking at artisanal. And I think these are the areas I want us to focus our mind, so that we can be competitive and our youth can get something to do in this area. Water coverage. We can move to water coverage. Okay, let's look at the sea defense quickly. I think that Axim sea defense has been done. Amanfo Kuma sea defense have been done. Abasi sea defense have been done. Ajwa sea defense, same, and Funko. We have a few gap between Amanfo Kuma and Takoradi, which we are trying to get it done so that the sea also doesn't destroy what is there. Amanfo Kuma too, if we do the Amanfo Kuma one to Takoradi, the problem we tend to have with the submerging of buildings won't happen. You remember I went to talk about Plan B some time ago. I said we won't demolish some people and it was a hula baloo. In fact, I was talking in respect of Amanfo Kuma. Somebody in his room had died because it had rained, because the sea defense was not complete. So each time it rains, that low-lying area, the flood-prone area, always floods. And somebody died in his room. And that's why I made that comment that you know the place always floods. Why do you still continue to stay in there? So if you're able to complete that part from Amanfo Kuma to Takoradi, which is virtually the same line, we should have less headaches on the coast. Water coverage. Regionally, the figure is 79.8. Rural water, we have 57.8, and then urban 88.4. This one, we are doing a lot of new projects when it comes to water. In fact, we are doing two major water projects in Western Region. The first one is the Sekeni Takoradi water project, and then the second one is the Takwa water project. So they are increasing the volume in Takoradi by 22,000, and then Takwa 2, we are also quadrupling what is currently there. After that, we have some rural ones that we are doing. The one is Wasa Dunkwao, small water system, and then Dasenkegwa water system, and the last one is the Mpoho water system. We've had a small challenge with Mpoho because where we're trying to do the boreholes, we couldn't get the water, but we've gotten some around 2 kilometers away from Mpoho. Wasadunkwa one will be completed this year. Asenkegwa will be completed next year, and Mpoho one will also be completed next year. So naturally, the water percentages of coverage will definitely go up by next year. My own office too, I've also done over 160 boreholes this year. We've done with all the drilling, and we are waiting for the pumps to be installed. Every fire station in Western region have now been given a borehole, so that when you have water crisis, you can be responded to as quickly as possible. So out of the 160 boreholes, 15 of them went to fire stations throughout the Western region. Okay, the CCT coverage. Urban is 100% and rural is 79.5. There were existing projects for rural electrification. The contractor tells us that he doesn't have money. So I've asked the DCs that the ones that can be switched on and connected, they should do small arrangements in their budget and make do with it. So those who I know, there are some places that they just need one small transformer. It hasn't gone. They are not expensive, so I've asked them that they should look at it on case by case basis whilst we wait for the contractor to reorganize herself. Spatial planning, Okay. 3 MMDAs, Ahanta West, Shama and Lembele have spatial development framework to guide spatial planning. Without this, it results in haphazard development in most parts of the region. I think this one should have come after the electricity. So let's do the police and the security, and then okay. Jomoro, police stations. Police stations. If you look at the police stations to where the communities are, you realize that a lot of them, we have a lot of difficulties. They are more than 5 kilometers. Please, have you seen it? And in my east, then have you seen your own 94? Yes. So at the last RESEC meeting, I think we agreed with the police that they should arrange for container police stations as an immediate measure, especially in your area, because we realize that the absence is creating a lot of space for bad boys to operate in Nzima East, especially in Jura, in Jura. IGP has promised to give us 30 policemen per district. So very soon, when we get these people, we'll be deploying them to you. Some of you, have they come? Your own have come? Oh, okay. That's good. You have not? Anta West, okay. Maybe you are close to Takrady, so they think you are okay. Jomro, you have not received. Oh, you have received. Oh, okay. Okay. Those who have not received, let me know before I leave here, so that we can get police commander. And then our police personnel ratio too, we are over 100% what is recommended. Usually it's supposed to be 1:500, but we have 1:1,100. So we need more policemen in the region. Okay, regional strength. we're trying to do a bit of SWOT analysis, but we just did about two. Just did the strengths, challenges, and then we concluded. The rest you might have to fill in as we have our discussion in this forum. Regional strength. The Western region has a strategic geographic location along Ghana's coastline. It offers convenient access to major markets in the country, as well as landlocked countries in the West Africa sub-region. The region is well connected by rail, road, and air transport networks, facilitating the movement of goods and people. And our location is very good because at least we have all the natural resources here, isn't it? At least we have it here. Our region produces 100% of crude oil, 100% of manganese, 55% of Ghana's gold, highest concentration of gold per square kilometer under exploitation. We also have over 200 million metric tons of kaolin deposits and over 400 million metric tons of limestone. In fact, even the kaolin, Wasa Ekrupong, Wasa Asenkrigwa, has a lot of kaolin for tile making. They even have more than in Zima. The 200 metric tons I'm talking about is in Zima. But Wasa also have more. We also have sand and stone deposits, iron ore deposits. Our Pond Valley iron ore is not as big as the one in Yendi. So my conversation with them, I think they want to try the Yendi one first because it's a large deposit. We also have lithium, both in Discove and then in Sekendi Takrady. So if you see a lot of our quarry that we are using to do the asphalt on our road, a lot of them have lithium in them. Professor Wankwa always tells me, and I didn't lithium some of the good road no so. Okay, so regional strength. 48% of Ghana's cocoa is produced in the current Western region, not in the old Western region, the current Western region. 35% of oil palm, 80% of coconut, 98% of rubber comes from the Western region. So clearly, this provides us with opportunities to trade in agricultural commodities. So the issue is still business, business, business. If you own it and we can't trade it or don't do business in it, we'll still be poor and we'll complain. So we have to move to the next level of doing business in the things that we have. Tourism and hospitality. The Western region boasts several tourist attractions, including pristine beaches and historical sites, Fort St. Antonio, Fort Apollonia, Nzulenzu, Bisabewa Museum, etc. The tourism sector presents opportunities for trade in hospitality services, handicrafts, and cultural products. And we have a few tourist sites like the Nzulenzu, Ankasa Rainforest, Cape 3 Point, Bisabewa Museum, Monkey Hill, Ijambra, Crocodile Pond. The beautiful thing now in the Ghana law is that anybody who makes a contribution to the development of a tourism site can also take a percentage of the revenues that come from that site. And we've done something similar for Nzulenzu, where the paramount chief takes something, the divisional chiefs take something, the assembly takes something, and the people on the Nzulenzu silt also take something. So if you have any tourist site that you want to develop, if you put in money, the law allows you to take some of the revenue. So please, like I said earlier, business, business, business. Business, business, business. If you cannot participate in the road part, the other part, start participating in them. and make money either for yourself or for your stool or for your organization. Port infrastructure, I think that we've discussed that one already. We also have all the institutions that matter to facilitate business in the Western region. We have the GIPC, we have the Office of the Registrar General, and now the Registrar General has now gone digital, complete. So if you want to register a business, it shouldn't take you more than 5 days. If it takes you more than 5 days, report to me or the investment center. They'll make sure you get your papers. If you have a problem with even doing your passport and they don't do it for you early, let us know. Because I've told them it is not the business of Ghanaians to be chasing for passport. When they pay for it, within 14 days, they are supposed to have their passport. If you do express, within 24 hours, you should have it. If you don't do it for you, if you send it to me, I'll send it to the man in Accra, and he gets it printed. Because I've told him that I'll make noise. Because it's not our business to be chasing. When I pay my money, you should do my service for me. So please, these are things that we are trying to get done. So like I always say, business, business, business. When it comes to business development, we have industrial parks in the Western region. The West Park is available. The Petronia City is being developed just after Yabu. You know, just before you get to where the police people are stationed on the Takrade Agunan Kwanta Road. That's where Petronia City is. We have other free zone enclaves at Impente, and they still have spaces at that place for anybody who wants to do business in the Western region. And some of the districts too have also established light industrial areas. I know Jomoro has it, Ahanta West has it. You can discuss with them to work on them. On the establishment of the petroleum hub, this is one of the biggest projects that is coming to the Western region in Jomoro. When completed, it will employ 780,000 people. Just as they were gearing up to start investment, COVID came, and then the downgrade. And because of the downgrade, the insurance premium on the project had gone up. So the main promoters are renegotiating the insurance. When they finish renegotiating and it's acceptable to them, they'll come straight in to start developing the Jomoro Petroleum Hub project. Maybe for the Nanum, the next time you get the opportunity to speak to Eulai, you'll brief you fully on the status. But the major headache is the insurance. You know, it's like the Takrade interchange. One of the problems that stalled the project was the insurance. Because just about the time we were going to start, the Sinohydro MD had gone for another loan in China for another project. And I think there was a problem with it. And immediately, the bank manager was shot dead. The Sinohydro MD was also arrested, and their insurance went up. Immediately, Sinosure didn't want to issue the insurance. So we had to wait for them to issue the insurance before we could cut the sword. When we cut the sword to Ghana and the way we do our business, everything Accra, the design alone took us more than a year before they could start. So these are some of the little problems sometimes that happen to some of our projects, but I strongly believe that we shall overcome. We shall definitely overcome. So key challenges I believe that we have in the Western region, because I talk about business a lot because of the issue of prosperity for our own people. One of the biggest challenges is the inadequate indigenous private capital formation in the region to support businesses in the region. And this one, we need to find a solution to it at this conference, because it's key to evolving from being poor, sitting on riches, to becoming rich, sitting on riches. Poor road condition and network, illegal mining and galamsey. I believe I've explained enough about it in our new proposal to the presidency on how to do it. Chieftaincy disputes. I want to thank Nananum for resolving the House of Chief issue. I think they need a big clap. They've done so well. They've done so well. Anytime you meet anybody talking to you about chiefs, they say, nah, regional house now, when you are in So all those who have problems, I know the Judicial Committee and other committees of the Regional House of Chiefs will resolve those matters for us to move on. Inadequate health personnel, both nurses, teachers, and other peripheral. Inadequate police personnel, inadequate educational infrastructure, and deforestation. And for the deforestation, I believe that is also part of the plan that we've submitted to His Excellency into looking at it. Water pollution is part of the Galamsey problem that has created that mess. And when you see people doing Galamsey on the river, usually they are brothers and sisters who live along the banks of the river. And in time immemorial, you know, our ever brothers have set colonies in all these places. And instead of fishing, as they used to do in the olden days, because the Galamsey people are washing the residual gold into the rivers, that's why they've stopped fishing, and now they put their machines on it to fish. And that also muddies the water, takes the oxygen out, and the fish can't survive. So that's what the problem is. So if you're able to solve the problem I talked about, making sure that district mining committees issue the license with the chiefs as quickly as possible and put an engineer on the site, we are sure that nobody will wash into the rivers the same way Adamus don't wash into the rivers, even on their own compound. Then we'll be able to get a headway, and then our rivers pollution will be non-existent. The other thing also had to do with youth unemployment, and I believe that with free SHS giving them the new power of knowledge, they should be able to get into business and create more wealth. Recently, I went to UMAT, and the complaint of the old vice chancellor was that because they don't teach anything to do with finance and humanities, anytime they need money for the university, they don't get. They are not like Legon or UCC where there are people in the financial sector that they can put money for them. So we should also get people in the business world to create money for us. So just being technical is not enough. We should also understand the language of money, the language of business as a region. And I believe that we should be able to get on track. Weak substructures, that is the unit committees. Recently, we got notice from Accra that we should do an audit. So we'll be doing audit to see which unit committees are not working. I know most of you in the traditional areas, you call them town planning committees. We want to see them function. That's one area we are also not getting enough traction. And the companies that have collapsed, defunct companies, we need to find new ways of bringing them back. And naturally, when things don't work, there will be apathy. When things don't work, there will be apathy, especially when there's high costs of living. But that one, I know we are turning a corner. At least the last budget told us that in the first quarter, the economy started growing again at 4.3 from the 1.5. And the money that was given to government spent 10% less what was given, but delivered on the mandate of the budget for 2023. And our balance of payment is shrinking. So naturally, it shows that we are exporting more than what we are importing. The dollar has moved from 1:19 to 1:11. We hope that it will come down further to about 8 or 7. The last time I spoke to the vice president. So I want you to have hope. Have hope. When you have hope, you have life. And when you have life, you have the energy to make a determination and energy to work more. And when you work more, you are able to be productive. And when you are productive, you make money. And when you make money, you become happy. So please, let's have hope. I have hope. I know that the consequences of COVID was so dire, but at least all of us didn't shirk our responsibility. Last year, this year, we were able to reward all those at the front line and say thank you to our nurses. I think we have to go back, keep working, increasing our productivity. In fact, the biggest challenge now is how to increase our productivity. Because if you are in a hole and you work at the same rate that you are working, you only fill the hole. If you want to be seen and come up, you have to work again. So we need to double our productivity in the Western region. And like I say, business, business, business. I will therefore employ the organizers to make this event an annual affair. I know it's a big challenge raising the money, but now if you do it small, it keeps the traction, and people will also plan ahead for you, so that if people know that it's certain, it will happen every year. If people know that it is certain, it will happen in August every year. If people know that it is certain, it will happen in Buzia, it will become like the Davos, and it becomes a Buzia consensus. So every year, people will be looking up to a consensus for our region. Even if we cannot do it 1 year, we can even do it 2 years, 2 years. And then we can put our minds together, and then we can have a part for the Western region, an inclusive part. A part that everybody sits at the table, whether you're on the left or right or center, we sit at the table and take a decision. And we can also monitor what we have said, what we have done. And like I said earlier, it shouldn't be just talk, but it should be action. On that note, I would like to thank everybody for giving me an ear. I'd like to thank the organizers and Ananum and all those who have made it today to this program. And I want to assure you that the Western Regional Coordinating Council remains committed to supporting all stakeholders to implement decisions arrived at this forum. I also like to thank Nana Kobna Nketia the fifth for having faith in his uncle, Nana Kobna Nketia the fourth, to establish this trust in his honor and to serve the Western region. I wish all of you will not frep this Christmas Uncle's Festival, 25th and 26th. Thank you very much, and may God bless us all. When I use the word frep, only fans boys understand. I intentionally use the word. It means don't miss it. Don't miss it. Yes. Thank you very much, and thank to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Regional Minister.